everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing volume 12 of the series Haikyu by Haruichi Furudate. So I've been reading this series for a while and I've been really enjoying it, and I do recommend, if you haven't read this series or you haven't watched my previous videos in this series, to go back and review volumes 1 through 11, because I'm going to assume that you have some familiarity with what's happened in the previous volumes going into this review. So volume 12 is the beginning of the spring tournament. I think the portion they're in right now is called like the inter-high prelims. It's basically a preliminary to go to the big tournament in Tokyo. Well, they have preliminaries and then they have additional tournaments, and then there's a lot of layers to this tournament. And they're just starting the preliminary part of this big tournament, but this all falls into Hinata's dream, who is our main character, to go to Tokyo. I have to say first off that I really like the cover of this volume. It has a lot of the characters on it, so I just really like the way this one looked. Just liked it. So in a couple of the previous volumes that we've read, we've been kind of in a lull, which I did like, because the tournaments and the games in this series get me very, very stressed. I get very involved, I want the team to win, and I feel like I'm reading the book about this close to my face, and my blood pressure goes up, which can't be good for me. So the last couple volumes we were in a lull because we were doing practice games and the team was starting to take themselves to the next level, both individually and as a team. Individually, I feel like, especially because of Hinata's decisions, he's kind of lit a fire under people in his team to improve, to get better, to go out and seek ways to improve their skills. And also as a team, they're just starting to come together. I do attribute a lot of this to Hinata and his like wicked combination with Kageyama, but really the passion that Hinata exhibits kind of is infectious to the team. And they've been improving, and they went to some practice games with some very difficult teams, and they wound up losing basically every practice game. They very rarely won, but they were able to improve and try a lot of new things in the practice game. And this is the series where we're going to start to see things pay off. At least that's what I'm suspecting is going to happen. So the practice games were also nice because nothing really felt high stakes. It was really funny. We got to know a little bit more about the characters and the background and where they come from and the reasons for playing volleyball. There was a huge range of stuff the author could explore that I feel like if they were added to a tournament arc, it would get very, very muddled and confused. So the author took the opportunity to do the practice games to not only improve the team, I feel like the team's improving and it becomes more realistic that teams that they previously lost to, they can now beat. But he also took that time to make the teams feel deeper and a little richer. I also feel like we saw other players on other teams that we're going to see again. So it was a lull, but I feel like it was very important, and I feel like the series can't be high stress all the time. It's important to have those breaks to give the reader space to breathe and also advance character growth. Not saying character growth can't occur during the tournament, but it was a nice natural lull. This book is kind of kicking off, or now we're going back in. I feel like we were down and now the stress is starting to go back up. My sister actually pointed this out when I told her I was reading this series, and she was like, I can't read Haikyu because it's a sports manga, and I asked her why, and she said sports manga causes her blood pressure to go through the roof and she gets very, very stressed when reading it, so she cannot do it. And I was like, okay, we'll see about that. And I find that is true, except I enjoy it. So if you're easily stressed, then maybe you're going to dread this ramping back up of tension, because if I remember correctly, the tournament is single elimination, which is a little different. I don't know if that's just how tournaments are usually run in Japan, or maybe I just played in very unusual tournaments, but a lot of the tournaments I played in were double elimination. So you would lose and then you would go to like a loser's bracket where you would then have to lose there. If I remember correctly, those were the volleyball tournaments that I played in like the unofficial leagues that I was playing in. So to have a single elimination tournament is very high stress because you cannot lose a game. You have to continually win all the way through or you're not going to make it. And Hinata wants to make it to nationals and prove himself in front of the whole world. So the team has improved, and as a result, I think it's natural to expect their first couple games to go pretty well, and they are playing against some teams that are maybe a little easier to beat at the very beginning. One of the teams they play is Kakugawa, and challenge that they face on this team is just pure height, which is kind of the matchup in which the author is showing that pure height is a huge advantage in a team, but it's not necessarily unbeatable. It just means that if you don't have the height, you have to work a little harder to get around the height. So this team has a player who is totally new to volleyball, doesn't really know what he's doing, but he is very, very tall, and the story kind of revolves around the fact that even though he's tall, he doesn't necessarily know what he's doing all the time, and the team can work together to beat the raw height that they just don't have on their side by playing good volleyball, by playing good plays and stuff like that. So I feel like that was a very interesting matchup. They do wind up winning the match. I feel like that's not really a surprise to anyone reading this series. I think it would be unexpected if the author made them lose in this first round and get knocked out very early in this tournament. Now, I cannot guarantee they're going to make it all the way through this tournament. I'm still unsure on that. There's some really tough teams ahead, but I feel like the team's in a better place than they were for the previous tournament because they had that practice game, because they've improved, because they've had a fire lit under them, and they're just taking themselves to the next level. Another point in regards to my stress level is that the more games that continue on, the higher my stress level goes. So even though this was kind of close to the beginning of the tournament, my stress level was still relatively low. I felt very confident that they were going to win, but I know that the more or the longer the series goes on, the more wins they rack up, the more stressful the games are going to be, because the teams they're playing are going to be harder, because the teams they're playing have beat all their previous opponents, and it's going to be more and more and more stressful. So I do know that this could be fun, but my stress level is probably at the lowest it's going to be for this whole series, and I'm really nervous because I want the team to win, but also I'm not sure they can win, and I'm a little stressed because my sister was right, and sports manga does get me a little stressed. A big continuation from stuff that we've seen in previous volumes is Tsukishima. I want to make sure I'm saying his name right. Yeah, Tsukishima. He didn't always have a passion for volleyball. In fact, he didn't have a passion for volleyball in like the first 10 volumes, but he's kind of grown due to some factors that I discussed in a previous video. And one thing that he's agreed to do is join his older brother's like rec volleyball league for practice. So he's actually independently seeking out this outside practice for himself, which is huge character growth from where he was before, where he didn't really care that much, and he was definitely not the person on the team who was seeking out the additional help. He was the one who wasn't, but now he's taking that initiative on his own to seek out the help, especially of his older brother and other people outside the high school teams that he plays, to improve himself. And I think we're going to see a big payoff. I think he could be a great character. So I already do like him, but I feel like he has a lot more potential. He is one of the taller members of the team, so he has that potential to grow. I feel like he has a lot of room to grow, and by reaching outside of his team for help, he can advance that potential. I'm still liking, I think her name is, they call her like Yachi-chan, Y-A-C-H-I. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that, but she is the first-year manager who's under the tutelage, I guess you could say, of Kyoko, who is the third-year manager. She needs to train a replacement because she'll be graduating, so she's training this girl who's really funny, and I do like her. I feel like at the very beginning, I feel like her personality, I was nervous that she was going to become annoying, but so far she's leaned more towards funny, so I'm really enjoying that aspect as well, and I'm liking that she's a new addition. And I don't know where this series goes, I don't know where it ends, I don't know how many, is this going through all of Hinata's high school career? I'm not sure, but she could definitely be around for a while, and I do really like that. So I like this. Things are starting, it's interesting. I would give it a 5-star. I really enjoy it. Please let me know if you're reading the series what you think about it. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.